what do you do about keeping your code from exposing things? So that's where you want to get into the rest of what we're going to talk about. The first part of which is static code analysis. So, do you run any static code analyses security wise on your stuff?
Yes, I do.
What do you use?
The one you're probably going to mention first is, at least with the Ruby code, is Brakeman.
Brakeman. It's for Ruby on Rails. I can't imagine not having this. And just run it as part of your CI/CD or part of your RSpec suite runs, or because you can do all that. You can just build it into every time you run an RSpec, it runs a Brakeman and off you go. But it's probably more useful in like a CI/CD. But this will check all kinds of security vulnerabilities in code, and it'll tell you, hey, you've got potential SQL injection vulnerability here on this line of code, and you need to change this so that you don't have that anymore. And it does a really good job, and it's updated quite often. I think the 5.10 release was pretty recent, within the past few weeks, I think. But they've already updated this to Rails 6 and 6.1. So it's kept up to date, and it's been that way for very many years. And it's free. So if you're running Rails, just get this. There's not really a reason not to, unless you're specializing in just Hello World programs. Just get it.
I think they do offer, they offer a Brakeman Pro.
Yeah. I think you can run that on like remote servers and stuff, and it's all hosted and things. I don't think there's like additional stuff that it checks for the Pro version. I think it has more to do with
it's probably more for an enterprise or larger company.
Right. To get it running on like distributed processes and things like that. I've never had a need to go with the Pro version. I mean, the free version of Brakeman is just insanely good. So, all right. So, that's Brakeman. There's also, the kind of the top level thing, which is bundler audit. It's just a gem. And you can run it. You just install it locally and you run it, and it's just a patch level verification thing. It's pretty lightweight and pretty rudimentary, but it's also pretty quick. So it's kind of like the CVE version of bundle outdated. So I would recommend running that as well.
You mean it restricts it to CVE related updates?
Pretty much, yeah. It just looks for, hey, do you have any security issues, gem level security issues? So that's a good thing. It may actually even be a good idea to run that in like a CI/CD loop as part of your set there. Because Brakeman, like, you can run that, but Brakeman doesn't really scan the gem issues.
Yeah, just your code.
Right. So the bundler audit, and in addition to that, will cover both sides. There's one called Dawn Scanner that was really good and supports Sinatra and Petrino and Ruby on Rails, but it hasn't been updated in like 4 or 5 years.
Anything security that hasn't been updated in the last month is dead to me.
Right. So I think it's still relevant.
Things move so fast.
Right. I think it's still kind of relevant because it didn't use its own built-in CVE list. It was relying on other inputs. But if it's that old, I don't know that it's being maintained anymore at all. So it may be worth investigating, but I'm not going to spend any time on it. Speaking of which, Gymnasium, which was another huge one from GitLab, is no longer maintained. They officially said, we're not maintaining this anymore. So don't, if you hear people talking about Gymnasium, which a lot of people still do, I would stay away from that one too, because it's just not maintained anymore and hasn't been for quite a while. For those of you that use Rubocop, which is a lot of Rails folks, it has a plugin from GitLab, a security plugin that GitLab did, that will kind of do some of what Brakeman does, but it does it in the Rubocop framework. So honestly, I think if you have Brakeman, you don't really need that. But if you're a Rubocop fan, there's a
you
plugin
can run
for you.
Rubocop, just don't enable that. Use Brakeman for your security check and not.
Oh, I do. Yeah, I run Rubocop.
Plugin.
I'm not entirely convinced that this plugin is
right.
needed.
I'm just saying you can use it, but just don't use that plugin. You
Right.
can use Rubocop, just don't use the plugin.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. All right. So, any other static tools that you have run across or that you like?
I primarily use this.
Yeah, and this is, at least in the Rails world, this is just what everybody needs to be using. And it points out a lot of stuff. I mean, I've been programming Rails for a long time, and I'll do a batch of code and then run Brakeman on it, and it'll pull up stuff, and I go, oh my God, how did I miss that? It's pretty thorough. So,
if you like this clip and want to watch another one, you can click right here. Or if you want to watch the full video, you can click here.